then, welcome to the news tonight this Tuesday evening. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories. Let's start with the headlines. Less than 3 weeks after a massive earthquake, multiple tremors rock Nepal once again. Scores of people are reported killed, hundreds are injured. The land bill is sent for a joint parliamentary committee review. Bills have been now deferred till monsoon session. The GST bill is referred to a select committee. Protests against Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari too paralyzed Rajya Sabha. After trading in the green for the past 2 days, Sensex sees the sharpest fall in 6 weeks, falls nearly 600 points. Our top story, even as Nepal struggles on to get back to its feet after the 25th April earthquake, a 7.5 magnitude quake struck the country again this afternoon. Latest reports say nearly 36 people have been killed and about 1,000 injured. As before, India, of course, responding quickly. Prime Minister Modi has directed all authorities to be on alert for rescue and relief operations if required by Nepal, while the Home Minister said that the government and NDRF were prepared for any eventuality.
Multiple earthquakes shook Nepal once again on Tuesday, bringing panic-stricken outdoors nearly 17 days after the massive tremor that killed 8,000 people in the Himalayan kingdom. The earthquake at 1:45 p.m. registered 7.4 on the Richter scale.
I think it's a really big hit of earthquake because the gate has also slanted and every pole are moving like that they will fall again. That is the thing right now.
The epicenter was in Nepal's Namche Bazar, which is the gateway of the Everest base camp. Amateur videos and CCTV footage showed the ground shaking like a wave for 25 seconds. In Kathmandu, parents could be seen clutching children tightly and hundreds of people were frantically trying to call relatives on mobile phones. Shopkeepers closed their shops and the streets were jammed with people rushing to check on their families.
Just now the big quake came and we all ran out of the building to keep ourselves safe. We are just trying to contact with our family members whether they are okay or not.
I'm trying to call to my home, but network is busy. It's not reachable. I'm worried for my family.
The Nepal government was scrambling to assess the damage as the phone network got affected and information was hard to come by. Initial reports spoke of casualties, many houses being damaged and hundreds of people being injured.
The first one came out as a red alert. Red alert is like the first one we had in April. That means that it's very severe earthquake. It's in a highly populated area. So honestly, right now we fear the worst.
The government extended the closure of educational institutions by 2 more weeks. Last month's quake was recorded at 7.8 magnitude, almost 6 times stronger than Tuesday's quake. But experts said that a 7.3 magnitude earthquake has the potential to cause significant damage and landslides. Bureau report for Rajya Sabha Television.
And 2 people were killed in Bihar as well as a powerful earthquake measuring 7.3 on the Richter scale sent ripples through large parts of North and East India. With memories of the quake that hit 3 weeks back still fresh, panic-stricken people rushed out of buildings in Delhi, Bihar, West Bengal, Assam, Odisha and Uttar Pradesh. Here are more details.
Ripples caused by the 4 earthquakes in Nepal were felt across North and East India at about 12:35 p.m. causing widespread panic. 2 people were killed in wall collapse incidents in Bihar. The quake was felt in cities across West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, in Srinagar, Amritsar, Lucknow, Jaipur and even as far as Guwahati and Odisha. Mild tremors were also experienced in parts of Chennai. The quake epicentered 70 kilometers east of Kathmandu at a depth of 18.5 kilometers and it was followed by 3 aftershocks of 6.2, 5.4 and 4.8.
नज़दीकतम हिंदुस्तान के इलाके हैं, खास तौर से उत्तरी बिहार में इसकी तीव्रता अधिक है और गंगटोक में चूंकि वो नज़दीक है सबसे अधिक है, 8 की तीव्रता है, पटना में 7 की है, गोरखपुर में 7 है और लखनऊ में 6, दिल्ली तक आते आते ये 5, लेकिन चूंकि ये प्रायद्वीप के क्षेत्र में काफी दक्षिण तक और पूर्व तक ये आके गए हैं, तो अगर आप दक्षिण में जाएं रायपुर वगैरह में तो ये सिग्निफिकेंट कलकत्ता में भी रहा है। तो लेकिन 2 से 3 की झटके जो तीव्रता है वो काफी दूर तक देखी गई।
चेयर पे बैठे थे, एक लड़का है बात की क्लास में से कि भूकंप आ रहा है, हम सोचे मजाक कर रहा है, देखा तो सच में आ रहा था।
ऊपर से सब लोग नीचे उतर गया, मैजिस्ट्रेट लोग, हम लोग भी उतर गया, वकील बाबू लोग उतर गया, सब आना डर से हम लोग बाहर आ गया था।
भोजन कर रहा था तब तक भूकंप घर पूरा जैसे हिलने लगा, ढक ढक की आवाज करने लगी। हमने देखा कि पूरी कॉलोनी जो है सड़कों पर आ गई थी।
In New Delhi, buildings swayed for more than a minute and people rushed to the streets. Office workers were evacuated. The metro service was also halted for a few minutes. The tremors led to fresh concerns about the country's preparedness in case a major quake strikes.
वो बहुत चिंता का विषय है, दुखद है, और मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि अब आगे की हमें जो प्लानिंग करनी चाहिए उसमें भूकंप रोधी ही भवन और इमारत बने।
Serious about calling an emergent meeting of the Parliament to discuss disaster management and this environmental changes.
The 25th of April earthquake caused equally widespread damage in India, causing 80 deaths in India, mostly in Bihar, that adjoins Nepal. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's give you some news from the capital. The Lok Sabha today decided to refer the Land Acquisition Amendment Bill to the Joint Committee of Parliament after a debate in which all the main opposition parties attacked the ND government for pushing forward what they called an anti-farmer bill.
It was the second occasion in this budget session that the Land Acquisition Amendment Bill was discussed in Parliament. After replying to the debate, Union Minister Birender Singh proposed to send the bill to Parliamentary Joint Committee. The committee will have 20 members from the Lok Sabha and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. Defending the bill, Birender Singh said his government's priority was to develop and create employment opportunities for farmers.
अगर राजनीतिक दलों में या और किसी संस्था में कोई भी इस बिल में कोई सुधारात्मक बात करने की किसान के हित में तो हमारे को उसमें कोई ऐतराज नहीं है, और मुझे लगता है कि कमेटी में ये सारी बातें डिस्कस होंगी और इसके अच्छे परिणाम आएंगे।
Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu also backed the bill. The debate on the bill was started with Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi. He charged the government with completely altering the 2013 legislature into something that was totally anti-farmer.
लैंड बिल को लाने में हमें तकरीबन 2 साल लगे और एनडीए सरकार ने कुछ ही दिनों में उस बिल की हत्या कर दी।
Besides the Congress, the Trinamool Congress, the Rashtriya Janata Dal, the Samajwadi Party, the CPI and the CPIM also opposed the bill.
आज पूरे दुनिया में आप अगर नागरिक अधिकार को और जो हमारा संविधान में जो मौलिक अधिकार के रूप में दिया हुआ है उसको अगर बुनियादी हक को मानते हैं तो आप उसका सहमति लेंगे नहीं। आप किसी पूंजीपति के बड़े बड़े सरमाया के आप सरमाया को या पूंजी को या कारखाने को ले सकते हैं उनके सहमति के बिना, लेकिन किसान को आप इतना लाचार समझ रहे हो कि आप कानून ले आओगे और उसके सहमति के बिना उसके जमीन को ले लोगे।
NDA ally the Shiv Sena also opposed the bill. The Joint Parliamentary Committee will now have to return the bill in the first week of the monsoon session. This is Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Rajya Sabha on Tuesday referred the GST bill to a select committee. The panel will be headed by BJP's Bhupendra Yadav. It has been asked to report to the Rajya Sabha on the last day of the first week of the monsoon session.
The government and opposition parties on Tuesday agreed to refer the Constitution 122nd Amendment Bill 2014 on Goods and Services Tax to a 21-member select committee of the Rajya Sabha.
Revised Constitution 122nd Amendment Bill 2014. Sri Arun Jaitley to move that the Constitution 122nd Amendment Bill 2014 as passed by Lok Sabha be referred to Select Committee of the Rajya Sabha.
Members of major political parties will be represented in the committee. The panel will submit its report on the last day of the first week of the next session.
Sir, that the bill further to amend the Constitution of India as passed by the Lok Sabha be referred to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha consisting of the following members: Shri Bhupendra Yadav, Dr. Chandan Mitra, Shri Ajay Sancheti, Shri Madhusudan Mistry, Shri Manishankar Iyer, Dr. Balachandra Mungekar, Shri Naresh Agrawal, Shri K.C. Tyagi, Shri Derek O'Brien,
The Lok Sabha passed the Constitution Amendment Bill originally mooted by the UPA on 6th of May. The GST that is proposed to be implemented from 1st of April 2016 will subsume excise, service tax, state VAT, entry tax, octroi and other state levies. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Protests against Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari and demands for his resignation resonated in Rajya Sabha on Tuesday as well. Proceedings were paralysed in the pre-lunch session due to repeated adjournments. The government also hit back, insisting that the Congress was deliberately disrupting proceedings to stall the passage of crucial bills.
As soon as the House met for the day, Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad said the opposition was dissatisfied with the reply given by Nitin Gadkari on the CAG report on Monday. Azad added that a notice has been submitted by Congress leader Pramod Tiwari to suspend the business of the House and take up discussion on the issue.
कल माननीय गडकरी जी ने यहाँ स्टेटमेंट दिया और उसके बाद मैं अपनी पार्टी की तरफ से उठा और ये बताया है कि हमें कोई सेटिस्फेक्शन इनके स्टेटमेंट से नहीं हुई आज और हमारी पार्टी सेटिस्फाइड नहीं है.
Leader of the House Arun Jaitley slammed the Congress for adopting obstructionism as its strategy. He stressed the examination of CAG report falls within the purview of the Public Accounts Committee.
Yesterday they had a facility for asking questions, they did not do that. Internal compulsions of the Congress party can't become compulsions of this House. And therefore, there is absolutely no basis why the question hour or the proceedings be suspended.
Deputy Chairman PJ Kurian disallowed notice under Rule 267 for suspension of business, but asserted that members could seek clarification from the minister on his statement.
Notice under Rule 267, I am not allowing the notice to be moved because Minister Sri Nitin Gadkari has already made a statement. If necessary, clarification can be asked on that statement.
The stalemate between the Congress and the government continued as members from both sides argued over the issue. Congress members marched into the well of the House, shouting slogans. The chair then adjourned the House first till 11:30, then till noon.
House adjourned up to 11:30. Adjourned up to 11:30.
Question hour became a casualty even on Tuesday as the verbal duels between the opposition and Treasury benches escalated. As the chairman's repeated appeals to allow the question hour to function went unheeded, the House was first adjourned for 30 minutes, then till 1 p.m. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, we'll take a quick break here. More news follows in just a bit.
A clean chit for Jayalalitha after a 2-decade-long trial, dotted by twists and turns, doubts and question marks. In Amma's acquittal, has justice been done? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get to some business news now. In the consumer price index, inflation plunged to a 4-month low of 4.87% for the month of April. This was recorded on the back of easing food prices. However, industrial production in March slowed to 2.1%. Here are more details.
Inflation for April dropped to 4.78% as against 5.17% in March. Consumer food price inflation dropped to 5.11% in April from 6.14% for the month of March. Rural inflation rate stood at 5.37 against 5.67 for the same month. Urban inflation, on the other hand, stood at 4.36% against 4.75%. Indicating a slowdown, the index of industrial production in March fell to a 5-month low of 2.1% after rising to almost 5% in February. The manufacturing sector, which constitutes 75% of the index of industrial production, grew by 2.2% in March. The indices of industrial production for mining and electricity sectors for March stood at 0.9% and 2.0% respectively. In its first bi-monthly monetary policy announcement in the new fiscal, The Reserve Bank kept key policy rates unchanged on fears of unseasonal rains impacting food prices. Despite unseasonal rains, low inflation rate will renew industry demand for a further cut in the RBI policy rate to boost growth. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in the markets, the Sensex witnessed the sharpest fall in 6 weeks on Tuesday after trading in green for the past 2 days and rising over 900 points. Today, the Sensex plunged over 600 points to below 27,000 ahead of the release of the Index of Industrial Production and Inflation data. Nifty was also affected by the all-round selling and came down the 8,200 mark by falling about 187 points or 2.25% to 8,137. The rupee trended down by 30 paise to quote at 64 rupees 15 paise against the US dollar in late morning deals following a sharp fall in local equities amid fresh dollar demand from importers and some banks. And now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's maiden visit to China starting Thursday will focus on trade, strengthening and economic ties. Deals worth $20 billion expected to be signed as Modi is expected to make a push for larger Chinese investments and greater market access in India. After China, Modi will of course be heading to South Korea and Mongolia. Here's a look.
Prime Minister Modi starts on his 5-day trip to China, South Korea and Mongolia from Thursday. The first leg of his visit will focus on cementing India's relationship with China by leveraging growing trade and economic ties. Indian and Chinese private companies are expected to sign business deals worth $20 billion. Trade between India and China has risen to almost $70 billion a year, although India's trade deficit with China has climbed to over $40 billion.
On the trade side, we think it's completely conceivable that China imports more from India. There are many areas where India is globally competitive, but somehow we've not been able to be successful in the Chinese market. Trade has to be found by more enlightened regulatory practices which would create a better trade balance.
Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping are also expected to address the border issue, a major irritant that overshadowed Xi's visit to New Delhi last year. Despite serious differences on the issue, India says both sides are making efforts to ensure that peace prevails. On 14th of May, Modi will meet Chinese President in his hometown Xi'an. The meeting will be followed by an official meeting between the two leaders in Beijing on 15th of May and another interaction in Shanghai. Later, Modi is also scheduled to have discussions with top CEOs of Chinese firms.
The border discussions took place when the special representatives met in March. That was the 18th round. It was the first round after this government came into office. So what is happening on the border is discussions take place, but they are, until and unless they reach a stage when there is a degree of finality about it, generally you don't give interim readouts publicly.
The two sides are also expected to finalize agreements in the rail sector as China seeks to cash in on Prime Minister Modi's vision of modernizing the world's biggest network of railways. After China, Modi will travel to South Korea, a visit aimed at bringing in more investments in the infrastructure sector. In Mongolia, Modi will address the country's parliament and sign an agreement that will allow India's border security force to train border guards of the country locked between China and Russia. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now to West Bengal, where a low-intensity blast inside a local train compartment injured as many as 29 people early this morning. Local gang rivalry is reported to have triggered the incident. Here are the details.
A low-intensity crude bomb exploded inside the Sialda Krishnanagar local train on Tuesday. The blast at 4 a.m. at Titagarh station left many people injured and some of them are critical.
एक क्रूड बम का ब्लास्ट हुआ एक कोच में। ये ड्राइवर केबिन से 5वां कोच था, जिसकी वजह से 15 लोग प्रभावित हुए हैं। उनमें से 9 लोगों को तो प्राथमिक चिकित्सा देके फर्स्ट एड देके छोड़ दिया गया और 5 लोगों को बैरकपुर के जिला अस्पताल में एडमिट किया। बाद में उनको हम सियालदा के रेलवे अस्पताल में ले आए हैं और एक व्यक्ति को आरजी कर अस्पताल कलकत्ता में एडमिट किया है और स्थिति पूरी अब सामान्य हो चुकी है। हमारी ट्रेनों की आवक जावक नॉर्मल हो गई है।
Railway police said the crude bombs were being carried by a known criminal, Raja Das. A bomb went off after an altercation between two groups of miscreants. Das lost his arm in the blast and was taken into police custody. A few passengers who jumped from the moving train onto the tracks were also injured.
दो बंदे के साथ झमेला हो रहा था, तो झमेला होते होते टीटागढ़ घुस गया और उसके बाद उसका मम्मी उसका बगल में था, तो वो धक्का लग गया, वो गिर गया। तो उसके बाद वो दौड़ के आया, आके उसका मम्मी को हटाया और उन लोगों को थोड़ा हटने को बोला। उसी टाइम में फटाक से बोला, इतना जोर साउंड हुआ कि हमारा दोस्त भी, उसका दोस्त बगल में था, वो लोग जा रहा था कृष्णनगर, तो उसका दोस्त ट्रेन से दरवाजे में था और ट्रेन से गिर गया और उसका 3-4 जगह फ्रैक्चर हो गया।
Local train traffic was affected for about an hour, disrupting travel for thousands of people across Bengal. Railways ordered a probe into the incident. Bureau report for Rajya Sabha Television.
Now on to international news, and amid a looming economic crisis, Greece was forced to tap into an emergency account to make a debt interest payment to the International Monetary Fund. A day ahead of the deadline, Greek government raided its reserves to pay 750 million euros today. Greece also rejected a referendum on the bailout as suggested by the European Union.
Greece allayed immediate fears of a default by making a crucial 750 million euro payment to the IMF, just a day ahead of the deadline. Greece has borrowed 650 million euros from its IMF holding account to meet debt interest payments. The Greek finance minister said the liquidity situation is terribly urgent and a deal to release further funds is the need of the hour. He also rejected a referendum on Greece bailout.
A referendum is always available to the government and to the President of the Republic in order to elicit the support of the Greek people when it comes to pivotal decisions that need to be made. There is no commitment to use it. It is a tool which is available to the Greek government. At the moment, it's not something that is on the radar screen as far as we are concerned.
Eurozone ministers meanwhile met in Brussels to discuss the country's bailout. They said Greece has made progress, but more work needs to be done. They sought a full deal on the bailout before Greece received any further payments.
Of course, vital not only that we have an agreement on paper, but also that it's being implemented before we start dispersing. Presumably, if you have a referendum, you will not start implementing before you've done the referendum. That doesn't seem to make sense. So there would be a time constraint there.
Asian stocks edged lower and the euro sagged on Tuesday as stocks stalled. Greek said the government needs to start looking into making concessions to deal with the economic crisis.
Εγώ πιστεύω έπρεπε να κάνει κάποιες υποχωρήσεις, να συμβιβαστεί. Διαφορετικά βρισκόμαστε σε μεγάλο αδιέξοδο, μεγάλους κινδύνους. Κανείς δεν ξέρει που θα οδηγηθούμε. Δεν ωφελεί κανένα, ούτε την οικονομία. Και επομένως είμαστε σε μια...
Εγώ θα προτιμούσα ό,τι είχε εξαγγείλει η κυβέρνηση πριν τις εκλογές, αυτό και να εφαρμόσει. Γι' αυτό βγήκε αυτή η συγκεκριμένη κυβέρνηση, γιατί εξηγεί κάποια πράγματα.
Greece has time till June end to reach a reform deal with its international creditors. The country's finances are running so low that it has had to ask public bodies for help. Eurozone officials said the real deadline for a deal is May end to enable parliamentary approval in some Eurozone countries to release the remaining funds before the program expires at the end of June. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, fighting has intensified for the worse in Yemen. Saudi-led airstrikes hit the Yemeni capital Sana'a just hours before a ceasefire. A 5-day truce was expected to begin between the Saudi-led coalition and Houthi rebels later today. The coalition hit back a day after rebels shot down a Moroccan fighter jet that was taking part in the Saudi-led campaign.
No respite in Yemen. Explosions, airstrikes and fresh fighting jolted residents hours before the 5-day ceasefire was set to begin. The truce called by the Saudi-led coalition and the Houthi rebels is intended to facilitate shipments of food and medicine to the war-torn country.
هذا العمل عمل غير مبرر ومستهجن ضد الشعب اليمني، وانا واحد من الشعب اليمني، فلن يكون الاستهداف لي هو استهداف للوطن واستهداف لكل المواطنين.
Arab warplanes bombed capital Sana'a, that is home to former Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh.
لن أكون قد تحالفت مع أنصار الله، ولكن سأعلن اليوم ومن هذا المكان أن الشعب اليمني كله سيتحالف مع كل من يدافع عن
Saudi Arabia stepped up the fight a day after Houthi rebels shot down a Moroccan plane that was fighting alongside the Saudi-led coalition. Reports suggest that Saudi Arabia is sending a larger strike force to its borders. With both sides unrelenting, there seems no end to the troubles in Yemen. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, let's get you some quick international stories. The first all-Tory cabinet will meet in Britain later today. Prime Minister David Cameron assembled his top 10 team and is expected to discuss a slew of measures to boost employment in the country. A rise in free childcare for England's preschool children will also feature in the Conservatives' agenda. Indonesia turned away refugees from Myanmar and Bangladesh just a day after hundreds of them landed on its shores. Indonesian Navy said they provided them with food and water before sending them back. The migrants are now on their way to Malaysia. In yet another shocking incident, a Bangladeshi blogger Ananta Bijoy Das was hacked to death in the country. This is the third such deadly attack. He was attacked by a masked gang wielding machetes in the city of Sylhet. Das wrote blogs for a website called Muktomona, which was once moderated by another blogger, Ovijit Roy, who himself was hacked to death in February. US Secretary of State John Kerry is expected to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin over the crisis in Ukraine. This is the first such meet since the Ukrainian crisis began in early 2014. Russia called it a positive step from the US. They're also expected to hold bilateral talks to improve relations. And that's all we could pack in on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night.